we interrupt this program to bring you Courage, the Cowardly Dog Show, starring Courage, the Cowardly Dog. Abandoned as a pup, he was found by Muriel, who lives in the middle of nowhere with her husband, Eustace Bay. But creepy stuff happens in nowhere. It's up to Courage to save his new home.
Stupid dog! You made me look bad!
Welcome to SADventures. SADventures stands for Love Adventures by Courage the Cowardly Dog. Now, this is an animated series about Courage, who's a small pink dog who lives with his elderly owners called Muriel and Eustace in the middle of nowhere. Now, as the name suggests, Courage is extremely frightened and scared by the smallest of things, but he shows extreme courage in the face of adversity, with just monsters showing up at his doorstep, some odd supernatural phenomenon happening, but he does everything to protect his family. Now, each episode, by the end of it, shows Courage as a hero. Though he is willing to risk his own life to protect Muriel at all costs, he is often seen as irrational and nobody trusts his intuition a lot of times, because there is a little flaw in his personality, which is he solely works for the benefit of others and shows very less interest in the safety and well-being of himself. Now, his secondary owner, Eustace, like the song says, stupid dog, Eustace constantly berates him, is extremely cruel to him, but Courage is not fazed by that. He's adaptable, he has adapted over years, and he still cares about Eustace so much as Muriel rather, but Muriel is a representation of a mother to him. Muriel actually loves him back, it's extremely reciprocal, and he practically worships her. Now, coming to the next part, and that is Courage. Courage is an anthropomorphism of a protective yet a very frightened, cowardly child that is trying to protect his family. Now, like that frightened child, he also has troubles expressing affections. He persists for love, he persists for attention, he persists for validation from both his owners or parents, and he shows all the signs of a neglected and abandoned child. Now, Courage also displays signs that show a relentless pursuit of needing to do things even in places it isn't required. Courage, although seems irrational at times, but he inherently understands the dangers that come from living in the middle of nowhere. Now, with the obvious trait of being watchful as he's a dog, Courage is also borderline paranoid. Nowhere, the quaint little town where Courage and his owners reside, is known for its eerie atmosphere and peculiar inhabitants. Additionally, the series often touches on themes of isolation, yet, if you quaintly remember, she's seeing the show at all, there are eerie inhabitants who constantly keep showing up at Courage's doorstep, and Muriel and Eustace, whenever they're looking at these eerie entities, they always seem very non-threatening. They never seem to be of any harm. But Courage is the only one who notices how they're just not simple visitors. They're there to harm his owners. Now, what I mean to say by that is, these entities are an allegory to criminals. Criminals who attack when there are sparse neighborhoods present, and these particular neighborhoods are more susceptible to crimes. There is a criminological theory that also suggests that heinous crimes are more likely to occur in sparse neighborhoods such as nowhere. And to top it all up, let's not forget, Courage and his owners are cognitively and physically not as sound and prepared to actually face these threats. This also makes them prone to elderly victimization. Now, this episode of the show that my friend Shivani has taken relates to cannibalism. I mean, cannibalism is a very interesting theory, right? I mean, not interesting to me. I'm a vegetarian, But for all those who eat animals, I have a small thought-provoking thing for you. What is so wrong in eating humans? I mean, we are all social animals at the end of the day. So, anyway, going to this particular photo. This is an indigenous Brazilian tribe called Vari, and Varis still practice cannibalism. They practice warfare cannibalism, which is eating of their own enemies. But there is a very interesting thing that they also do. They eat their own dead. They practice funerary cannibalism. They eat their own dead family members. Now, why do Varis do that? They do that as a compassionate act for their dead people. The Varis, what they do is, when a family member is seriously ill, a close relative goes up to the family member, hugs them, weeps for them, and that's exactly when the ritual starts to begin. Now, coming back to the episode part of Courage, this episode entails a pig butcher named Gene Bon that operates an eponymous hamburger diner with his wife that he loves a lot. And why is this important is that Courage is extremely frightened that Gene Bon happens to be a cannibalistic killer. Why does he think this? Because he overhears Gene Bon and his wife in a conversation where they were turning their customers into patties, into hamburger patties. However, this was not true. At the end of the show, it was revealed that the hamburger patties were just an artistic muse taken as an inspiration from customers. So the patties just happened to look like the customers. So there's a Courage patty and there's a Eustace patty. Gene Bon is not actually portrayed as a villain. He runs the diner with his wife, whom he adores very, very much, and he sometimes gives his customers a second helping, hands out free things to children. But this doesn't stop Courage from actually apprehending the dangers. Now, Courage is not really entirely a delusional person. His apprehensions aren't entirely rooted in illusions. Because, let me tell you a real life example. A case of a Nigerian restaurant in 2014 had human heads served on their menu. Now, when the police reached the place, they found 2 human heads with cellophanes on top of the meat-eating restaurant. Now, Courage, although you may say he's paranoid, but I would like to say he's pretty courageous and watchful. But talking about human meat, I would rather end with a few questions for you. What if this human flesh is legalized with prior consent of dead individuals, such as organ donations? And what if courage is just a manifestation of our fears, maybe our lived experiences too? What if courage is just a representation of the human psyche in its most vulnerable forms? What if courage is all of us? With that, I'd like to end. Thank you.